Hi there, it's Lucas Catton, and welcome to the next installment of the Narconon and Scientology Chronicles. And this time I'm going to share a little story about another one about actually Tom Cruise in the same time as before, same general era. The previous one we talked about how he had brought people from Narconon out to the set of War of the Worlds, and he had a Scientology tent there and all that good stuff. And this other one is around the same time. This one was in 2005, and he brought Katie Holmes out to Narconon Arrowhead, and it was part of a quote unquote handling that he was doing with Der Spiegel magazine, which is a German magazine and had previously not been very favorable towards Scientology. And this was one of his missions, was to try and show the things that Scientology was doing. And I want to share one thing here in this article, actually in Der Spiegel. You can go to spiegel.de, and I'll share a link to this actually below the video. But I wanted to share some of the dialogue between the reporter and Cruise as part of this interview back in 2005. And they said they were surprised, for example, to see that this Scientology volunteer minister's tent was on the set of War of the Worlds. And they'd asked Spielberg about it. He said, he didn't think much about it, blah, blah, blah. So Cruise goes, the volunteer Scientology ministers were there to help the sick and injured. People on the set appreciated that. I have absolutely nothing against talking about my beliefs, but I do so much more. We live in a world where people are on drugs forever, where even children get drugged, where crimes against humanity are so extreme that most people turn away in horror and dismay. Those are the things that I care about. I don't care what someone believes. I don't care what nationality they are. But if someone wants to get off drugs, I can help them. If someone wants to learn how to read, I can help them. If someone doesn't want to be a criminal anymore, I can give them tools that can better their life. You have no idea how many people want to know what Scientology is. So he's referring to Narconon and Applied Scholastics and Criminon. These are ABLE programs sponsored by their Scientology programs under the ABLE umbrella. So then Spiegel says, do you see it as your job to recruit new followers for Scientology? And Cruise's response was, I'm a helper. For instance, I myself have helped hundreds of people get off drugs. In Scientology, we have the only successful drug rehabilitation program in the world. It's called Narconon. Now, how arrogant is that? In Scientology, we have the only successful drug rehabilitation program in the world. It's called Narconon. Sorry. Oh, man. The reporter for Spiegel responds, that's not correct. Yours is never mentioned among the recognized detox programs. Independent experts warn against it because it is rooted in pseudoscience. So they just call him out right there, which is great. And then his response, because of course he's, the uber Scientologist, the ultra Scientologist, you don't understand what I'm saying. It's a statistically proven fact that there is only one successful drug rehabilitation program in the world. Period. I wish I would have. I can't believe I didn't see this before. Maybe I did, but I don't know. The arrogance is unreal. You don't understand what I'm saying. It's a statistically proven fact that there is only one successful drug rehabilitation program in the world. Period. That was his response. So then Spiegel says, with all due respect, we doubt that, Mr. Cruise. You made studio executives, for example, from Paramount tour Scientology's Celebrity Center in Hollywood. Are you trying to extend Scientology's influence in Hollywood? Of course, that was his role. That's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to make the entire world Scientologists. And his response was, I just want to help people. I want everyone to do well. The unspoken part is, I just want to help people join Scientology. I want everyone to join Scientology. That's what he was actually saying. So I'll share the link to that story. You can read the whole thing and whatever. So as part of this overall handling, he then brings at least one reporter and or a photographer from Der Spiegel to Narconon Arrowhead, and he had started dating Katie Holmes by then, and he brought her to Oklahoma. And so, of course, we had this whole thing. I was not president anymore of Arrowhead at the time, but I was one of the people picked to tour with them, and to go back through this and we, did the whole tour and all that stuff. And then afterwards, we talked with Tom and Katie in the lobby, in the reception area of Narconon Arrowhead. And we were telling about the different things that we did and all that stuff. And she seemed genuinely interested, but also very out of place, because he wanted to make it all a big spectacle. So it was like, when we were talking to him or talking to them, then the reporters and the handlers and all the other people, they're all like standing around watching. And then all of a sudden, he grabs her and starts kissing her very passionately in front of all of us. Like it was the most awkward possible time to do something like that. So I don't know if he was trying to show her how much he loved her, show us how much he loved her, or just, I don't know. It was literally the most awkward thing and timing of anything like that. Nobody was even talking about the relationship. He just turns to her and it grabs her face and starts kissing her right in front of all of us. And it was so awkward. It was really, really, really awkward. But of course you can't say anything like that. Like afterwards we kind of joked about it. Like, how awkward was that he was kissing her in front of everyone like that? And poor her. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to display his dominance because he was like 5'6" and she was 5'10", and she had flats on from what I remember, and it was still very, very obviously odd. And that was the biggest thing that I remember, of how crazy it is. And then to sit there and read these words after the fact, like 15 years later, and read about how arrogant he was and how he's just flaunting all this stuff and then pretending that he's somehow just some really caring guy, that I just want to help people. I will say this. Most people who join Scientology and join these other groups, they get fooled into it. They actually do have a desire to help. I can say that because I know that was part of what got me involved, is because I thought that I was going to be doing something really good. So I'll defend Cruz a little bit there in that he might actually have, some altruistic tendencies, but the arrogance, the sheer arrogance of stating that it's the only successful drug rehabilitation program in the world is such a lie. It's crazy. And he believed it. And he had so much conviction that he wanted other people to believe it as well, even though it was very obviously false. So there you go. There's another quick story from the Narconon and Scientology Chronicles. Tom Cruise brings Katie Holmes to Narconon Arrowhead and Der Spiegel magazine. Again, I'll put the link below to the magazine article so you can see the part that I read at the beginning. And stay tuned. I've got some plenty of other stories coming along. Take care.